The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
From Uganda, it's a good evening. It's 7 p.m. In Guyana, in particular, it's midday, I understand. My name is Nima Flue-Bess. We are broadcasting live from our social media pages. That's the Alternative Uganda Facebook page and also Digitalk TV, and later on the very show will be on our YouTube channel. I am with my co-host, Rogers. I should say hello to our viewers so that they know that we are with you. And then we shall proceed.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's another privilege today, excuse me, to be here with you. And we're going to be, of course, in discussion with the Honorable from Guyana, Honorable Nima Flue-Bess, one of the reputable leaders of that particular country from the opposition. So today I am going to learn from a number of things. I have my own queries, but we also have a topic of discussion. We want to understand what the local governments contribute to the general governance of the nation as a whole in Ghana. So I am glad to be here, and I look forward to a fruitful discussion.
Honorable, you could say hello to our viewers, and you say hello to our viewers, both, of course, that side and our country here, and then we shall proceed with the topical discussion as it appears about the importance of having local council leadership in Guyana and so many other countries in the Caribbean, but also generally as a world at large. Honorable.
Hello. Good evening and good day to all of the viewers on the program. It's an honor to be here a second time to have discussions with you on key and pertinent matters that are affecting our people. I must say congratulations to our cricketer athletes who were successful at the games in the Bahamas recently, and we look forward to having a safe time with them as they return home.
It's on a lighter mode, rather, that these are the very people you guys underfunded. Why did you in the first place underfund your sportsmen and women to an extent? I saw Rick Ford back post some of your athletes who had, literally they were sleeping on floors and couldn't even have the return ticket. Given some were stranded. So you are literally, you are of course an MP. What happened with the Ministry of Sports that your sportsmen and women were stranded in when they went to participate in those sports?
I am seeking answers and clarity because up to yesterday, after this incident occurred, which I think is very serious, because our youths are the future leader of this country, and when you're going to represent your nation must ensure that you are well cared for, provided, and protected for, when you're going to do what you have to do. And thus, I had to return to the Parliament yesterday because I wanted to double check my interrogation of the budget. I recalled that there was an item stated that the government will sponsor, I think it was 28 or 25 international events in their budget proposal or the presentation that they did. But they could not furnish us with a list of the events that they were going to sponsor. So I had to go and get some clarity on that. I will speak more on that. It is very heartrending, because I have been an athlete all my life as a student, and it's not easy when you train, go through all the preparation for a championship as an athlete you're supposed to do, train for the event and get prepared. And when you expect the other part, you have your coaches, they work with you. You expect the other persons to do their part in ensuring that you have a successful championship. It's not done. It is very heartrending. I can tell you I'm very, very disturbed because I work in the sports fraternity. I'm a teacher of physical education and sports. And I can tell you more than 5 or 6 of those athletes, I know them very well. So I know the sacrifices that are being made for that. But we are looking into it. And of course, I will make a statement and ask the necessary questions, because we should not have a repeat of this. We should never have a repeat of this. The persons representing our nation must be active, and especially young people when they're going out, they must be good ambassadors for the country, and they must be taken care of. It's not something that is good at all. But I love their spirit. They didn't deter from striving to be successful and putting their all. But you could imagine if all things were equal, how much more they would have achieved.
My question in regards to the sports, and I was wondering whether or not you intend to table a motion in your parliament in regards to establishing a commission of inquiry or something like that, in regards to, to the mismanagement of this whole thing. As you people you were training, like your people who got stuck in a foreign country. So do you intend to do so?
I can tell you that work will be done. We have on our side our sports committee, and I'm quite sure our PC Guyanese will see that actions will be taken on this particular matter.
Now going back to our topical discussion, we understand that in June you are having local council elections, and we wanted to have a preamble of your forthcoming elections. What is confusing all of us, much as we are in Africa here, is that for some reason you tend to more or less behave as how also our governments behave this side. And in regards to elections, it's on record, if I'm not mistaken, that 2 or so years ago you had general elections where parliamentarians were elected. In other countries, when you have such elections, it takes like a month or thereabout to have local council elections, so that there is no mismatch. So you are having a new government from the grassroots to the parliamentary and presidential level. What is it that caused you people to have a space of close to 3 years between the local council elections and the other parliamentary elections?
All right. So just the background for persons who might be hearing about our local government elections for the first time or stuff like that. Guyana is 83,000 square miles. We have 10 administrative regions, and it is vast in terms of people moving and communicating. The establishment of local government elections in this country was done to ensure that we can manage the affairs of our people, regardless of where they're located. It is a part of our constitution, and it tells us about sovereignty belonging to our people. It talks about having freely elected representatives in our local democracy. And also it talks about inclusionary democracy. So that's a brief background to that. In relation to your question, you're asking about elections in 3 years. Our constitution caters for local government elections after you have regional and general elections, the big elections. That you have local government elections within that 3-year period. This current administration, which is managing our country, government, the previous 20 years in government, they did not have local government elections to talk about. So a lot of our young voting population now would have only experienced the opportunity to vote or elect local leaders when we had the coalition government. So now we're at a stage where we're looking at local government elections again. And the persons would ask, why is it necessary? But I can tell you, it is important when it comes to the development and managing the affairs of the community. So that's why it's very important. I don't know, I think I missed some part of your question, the latter part.
It's maybe to hear from you, what does your constitution provide that upon having the general elections, how long should that be for the local council elections to take place? Because we're just surprised that it has taken close to 3 years, ever since you had the parliamentary elections, and it has taken this long that you're going to have your local council elections in June this year. What could have gone wrong? Is that what the law provides for?
Yes, it is provided in the laws. I can't remember the exact period. I think it's 2 years after you have the general elections that we have local government elections. And like I'm saying, it is absolutely important that we have local government elections because it has to do with governing your community. At the local level, the elected leaders who you elect would manage and run the affairs of what is happening in the different communities. And these entities, the local bodies, will be responsible for providing local government, the government, with information on things that are needed to be done to ensure that the people are comfortable and in the environment and the community in which they live.
So let me ask just a little bit, Honorable. I understand, okay, it is true that, the local government are important and in the whole governance. But now here is a problem. You have a new government, for example, in this case, you have the PPP that is coming in power, or that came in power in 2020. And then you have a part of the people who are doing the local governance, who are in the local government structures at the ground level, being still leading in the process of the change of governments. These two people have literally different goals and different directions. So if you have a local government that has someone who had the agenda of the previous government to run 2 years into another government's time, how does that work? Does the work align?
All right. Let me put it this way. Yes, we pointed out people have differing agenda. But there's something that tells us, a quote that tells us, power lies in the hands of the people. Even though we had a very unfortunate general elections with all the rigging and everything that took place, and we see the results. At the local level, I would say to people, if we should have our local government elections, they should take up leadership in their community and control it, and don't allow this current government to monopolize and take over everything because they're already marginalizing people, even though they don't have total control of all the local government areas. So could you imagine if people decided they're not going to be a part or take part in the local government system and they should run ahead with local government elections? What would be the difficulty for our people who are in the different communities? That's how I would answer that.
Just a little bit of follow-up. Does the local governments are independent of the central government. What I'm trying to say is some governments, literally everything the local government does comes from the structures from the top to bottom. So are you trying to say that the local governments have their own plan, that the central government also has its, and maybe it raises its own taxes, so it runs its own budget and all that kind of stuff? Is that how it operates?
All right. So the local government system, the community would elect their leaders, and the leaders would have their meetings, their council meetings, where they would listen to the residents, visit the area, and all of that. At that level, after they accumulated their information, then you have the regional level. That local body will report to the regional council. The regional council now will take that information because they have monthly meetings, and what needs to be done, the regional council will take to the central government. It's all a link. Now, at the local level, the main or only source of income that is received there is from taxes, where people pay their land and all of that. The other funding to do major projects, be it the drains, the roads, and all of that, it has to come from the government. But who is the best persons to inform central government of what their needs are? It is the people on the ground. So that's how it works.
So if I got you well, you seem to have suggested that your constitution talks of having local council elections 2 years later. Now, would you consider that as a constitutional crisis in regards to perhaps other countries who have elections period at the same time, maybe within a space of a month, to avoid that mismatch? Or literally you want to communicate to us that local government is purely independent of, like my colleague asked you, that is purely independent of the entire central government, so that even when they come in office 2 years later, everything still remains okay? Because I would wonder if there is a current program, central government program, that has run for the past 2 years, and you have now new local council coming on board 2 years later. How do these people, do these leaders work together towards such programs?
All right. So I was just checking. I think it's after the elections, you would have the local government elections. In that case, like I've said, once you're dealing with elected leaders within your community, your constituency, these leaders, first of all, should be au fait with what is happening in their community. Two, they must be involved with the council or be a part of happening. So if they're elected, you have new elected leaders. They shouldn't be foreign to what are the developmental needs of that community. They must be aware of what are the needs, because they would have been involved. And that's why one of the things I would say to people, local government is not about a political party paying you to run the election or to do anything like that. It is about your genuine interest in seeing your community develop and advance from one stage to another. And when we talk about the independence to central government, the only level of independence you have there is that the council on the ground would collect the taxes, and there would be proposals and all of that that is needed for central government to do work in your community. So central government is supposed to be providing finances for these areas.
Quick one. We understand that every electoral process is a process, right from the nomination of candidates, registration of voters, updating their voter register, to the nomination of candidates, preparing the electoral material, their delivery, to mention but a few. Have you gone through all these processes? But most importantly, are you satisfied with how these processes went? Because we have heard from your colleagues that side that previously there were issues with the voter register. In fact, they even assert that the number of voters were higher than, rather, the number of votes were higher than the number of voters. And everyone wonders, how do you have an electoral constituency of, let's say, 200 voters, and you have results showing 1,000 voters? Kindly share with us how and what is it like that side in regards to the electoral processes.
We will continue to call for a clean voters list, even though we got local government elections. I am working on the ground, and I can tell you what you're saying there is absolutely factual. When we had claims and objection period, where if you know that somebody had died in the area, or somebody would have moved out from the area and all of that, and you had to produce the evidence of these things, I can tell you that process, far from being fair. And I can tell persons is that the list is still bloated. I was at the protest of the last week, Tuesday. We're still calling for a clean voters list, and we're hoping that the relevant authority, our court system and all these things will work, because it is absolutely necessary that it be done. You know how this system actually functions? I can give you a clear example. My mom would have died August last year. And when you go through the list in the community, in the constituency, strangely enough, I never produced a death certificate or anything like that, but her name was removed from the list. When you go to another area that is controlled or predominantly supporters of the government, there are people who died over 20 years and you still can't get the name off the list. Although families come and testify that yes, these persons are dead, but they're still on the list. And that's a challenge we're facing here in our country when it comes to the electoral process, a very serious challenge.
As a parliamentarian and your political party, are there specific reforms that you have fronted onto the floor of parliament and you are satisfied that they have been worked upon for purposes of ensuring that the local council elections appear quite differently from the previous elections you had?
I can tell you that at our level we've worked or continue to work in doing what we can to make our voices heard and all of that. I don't like to speak much of Parliament because I feel as a young parliamentarian, one of the younger parliamentarians, you know, Anton, our Parliament functions over here. They're ready for budget money. You get to sit in the Parliament for that 2 weeks where you go, debate, peruse the budget and all of that. Then you have a long break. And then the government might decide, you know what, we want dash 2 bills through the House. And because they got a 1-seat majority, no matter how good your proposals are as an opposition, they don't entertain. They always doing something. Then they will call for that bill to pass, and then they can get another long break. And then the government will decide that the money that they collected early in the year wasn't enough for something, and then they come back for some more money. And then at Christmas time, they would come. And I'm telling you, that's my experience as a parliamentarian. That's how the parliament operates here. At Christmas time, they're going to come back. I don't know. They don't have respect for people. Because as a parent, I've had to sit in parliament before Christmas Eve day and long, but as a family home to take care of. These are things they would do. And then they would go to parliament. And then guess what? The year finished and we gone right back for the next budget. So when you talk about work, I'm on 2 committees in the parliament. None of the committees have ever sat or met. I don't know what it is to sit in a committee meeting at the parliament because that's how they're operating. And it has to do a lot with what we see with this administration. Democracy is nothing close in their book. And that's how the parliament functions. So as much as you would put in work, I can tell you if you see questions, we would have tabled in parliament. One of the most frustrating things for me as an educator and a parliamentarian, imagine you write a question and you're taking 3 months to get a response to your question. And it might have been a particular issue. When the response comes, the issue has already been dealt with or dealt with in a manner you're not comfortable with. And that's it. And just go through. How the parliament operates here in Guyana.
Precise question for you. in particular, here where we are in Uganda, where such a process kicks off, leaders in different political parties mobilize their members to do the cross-checking. You talked of so many people that died 20 years ago who still appear on voter registers. So have you done your best to do civic education, to educate your followers and all voters to check the the voters register, cancel the names, and then forward those they think that are still eligible and alive and therefore qualified to vote? Have you done your best to teach people to do so?
Yes, I've done my best. I've been working in and around my constituencies. I through all the lists, I talk with people, I inquire with them, and I'm telling you, like the obstacles you go through, you submit the list, and just like how I'm saying, just like how they knew the mom's dead to take her off the list, why didn't know the other people died to get them off the list? I mean, it's a two-way process. You cannot just apply one thing for one set of people, and the other set of people that is not applicable. When we talk about democracy, it should be widespread. And I'm saying just like how other people did not have to submit a death certificate or anything to have their people names removed from the list, why is it not done in all the constituencies and all the area? It tells us that democracy is not something that they're truly interested in. And we go through all the process. You'd see the party will go through the court process and all the things and write up the forms, you fill a set of forms, you write a summation, and then when you finish all this hard work, there's little or no movement on what you would have brought. And again, it takes the people have to come out, speak out, to protest, do whatever they have to do, because we're just 31 MP sitting in Parliament and we're doing our best. And you imagine if all the people should get up and let's really deal with this, the difference it can make. One man can make a difference, much as thousands.
Our country calling upon people to demonstrate, that would be inciting violence. Rogers, let my co-host also have his questions to you, and then we proceed.
Now, Honorable, I also understand that the reason why you have had a lot of some postponement of the local government elections, has also been because of those voters list issues. And so what was supposed to happen, I think, on 13th of March, which was literally a month ago, was postponed to 12th of June. Have those issues of the voters list been solved, so to be sure that you are now ready to be able to move to that time? But also the second question, I want to give you two questions at once so you can answer one after another. The second one is another reason why you also had those elections postponed was apparently you had issues with demarcation of constituencies. So I think either people did not know where they belong or some people did not know where they should go. Have you solved the issues of the demarcation of constituencies and the voters list to be able to move forward to elections of the local governments?
We will continue to call for a clean voters list. It is not being solved. The issue still remains. When it comes to the constituency, I think that they went ahead and changed the boundaries of some constituencies in specific areas. When you look at the movement of the boundaries that they would have shifted, they shifted it so that the current ruling party might have more favor in those constituencies. So that's why the boundaries have been shifted in some of these areas. And again, we are just set of voices speaking, but if our people make more noise with us, I am quite sure we're more impactful in dealing with these issues. It's not being solved. Yes, we're preparing for local government election at the rate at which this administration is operating. They don't care about democracy. They would push for local government election. They would glad if nobody run, because there's no contesting party or individual at local government election. It simply means that they will become now the tiger and they will control every single LLA, local authority area, and they will do what they want to our people. Like I said earlier, they're not in control of all the LLA areas, and they're doing what they want to marginalize, penalize people, and continue to affect the livelihood of people, even though they're not in total control. So we can't lie down and allow them to be in total control, because then Guyana might really be a very ugly place for persons to be if you have a government who is in total control of the constituency. When they feel that they want a piece of land, and just like what they take in view, they can come, bulldoze the people, and take it over. They ain't going to sit down and think about the social, psychological, cultural effect or whatever they're doing, because they're in government. Just like how a businessman associated to the government could go and block off a whole street and put a fence and a gate and ensure that nobody else that lives in the area can use the street. Could you imagine if this PPPC government should have total dominant control over these communities? What will happen? When they want, they're just going to take people's stuff, so we can't allow that.
These irregularities that you're pointing out, how are you going to move now? Because if those were the reasons why you postponed and those issues are still there, how better is it going to be? How is the system improved? What is it that is being solved in this process that warranted the postponement from March to June?
Well, we continue to do what we have to do, use the court system, do whatever is needed. I'm not an integral part of that process, but I know work is being done there. And as we do that, we will to educate and encourage our people not to fall asleep and just think that, all will be okay. We have to be involved. We have to faith with what's happening, because we're talking about our livelihood, about our generations to come. We're talking about all the different things that can be affected if we fall asleep. And you cannot trust this administration that we're dealing with. So you must be aware, and that's what I seek to do week after week, educate people. And every time I meet with them, I understand it is not just about this political party thing that people will think, but it is about your daily livelihood, your generations to come. It is about that. I would have seen what happened to my community, to my people, our people, Guyanese, under the previous PPPC administration in the 23 years. How many of them lost their lives? How many persons did not get justice? And all these things, no local government elections. So they had these IMCs, interim management committees, where they just put it into communities so that they can go and take resources from the people. We cannot. And I call on Guyanese, we cannot sit down and allow such practices to come back, because I can tell you it's an old time, something come back again regime, the same principle that they practiced then they brought back again. So they don't care. It's just about a one set of people, their supporters and their family or whoever, their friends. That's it. They don't care about the mass, those who are out there working tirelessly and doing what they have to do when it comes to governance and development of their community. I'm a passionate person when it comes to community development, because I know if I did not play my part in helping, my community would be so different, and still now it's even a tougher fight to get people to understand why we have to preserve our inheritance under this particular administration.
Good to hear. Now, I don't know whether you're done or you have something in particular in that very line.
Not at this one. Another one is sort of...
Okay. Now, Honorable, by looks, I no doubt you're young, but also you are a female. This specific question goes back to you. How best have you mobilized and organized both ladies and youth to participate in this in the June elections? Are you seeing yourselves as women and youth, active enough to, for purposes of bringing change, the desired change?
Yes. For the young people, I like to have practical talks. So I would go and I would talk to them. For example, our NDC, the local area, would have been working on the community ground to have it fixed. The ground actually have an issue where it needs a drain. And so the local authority got assistance from a non-governmental organization that was going to complete the ground for them. Now, this administration, the president and his crew came and visit the community. And when our chairman make a request for the larger ground, which is a FIFA-sized football field, to be done, or get assistance from the government to have it done, they said no. They asked the people who were there, who weren't paying attention, which ground they wanted to be done. And the people said the smaller ground. Now, 7 months later, all that is on that ground is mud. 7 months later, our young men who play football cannot use the ground to play football. Now, when things like this happen, I sit with them and I will talk. It's just a simple example. Do you actually think that this government cares for youth development? And a good example is what happened to our young people, again, that we started the program by talking about. If a caring government for people, why is it that doing the facilities, maintaining them, so that the young people can actually play? Under the coalition government, you have places. I recall as a picking up my child from school and going on an open space, Georgetown. I don't live in Georgetown. The place was cleared. It had benches. You could go sit with my. She could have climbed a little tree and we could have some fun. Now that place is no longer there. Young people need space to play. Young people need space to explore and develop themselves. And these are practical examples I would put to them. And there are several other examples that I can show many of our youths that this is an uncaring government when it comes to them. What they want them to do, you finish university so you can't find a proper job, they get a 10-day job and get $40,000 and tell you that they love you. But $40,000 in Guyana is like nothing when you have to shop things to eat. For our women, all they have to do is to sit and read about those women who cried and still cry tears for their children that was brutally murdered under the previous PPPC administration. We had over 400 black youths that killed under that administration. It is a different type of killing now taking place because we have social media and all these things going on. Are you telling me as parents that is what you want to support and expose your children to? I think the mothers need to wake up and pay attention. So I would talk to them in that way. I love to be practical. It's not easy to grow your children and then to see a government come and take them out just so. It's not something easy. And so these are practicalities. Secondly, the women, we're the ones who feel the brunt in the market when you go for the prices that continues to climb. What has this administration done to assist our women who have to take care of the families by shopping and cooking and preparing for them? Every time you go to the market, you have to deal with an increased price. Your spouses will just not be getting an increased salary during the month or anything like that. And so you're facing the brunt in the market. Are you telling me that you would want to vote and encourage an administration that does not? We had such a full presentation on the importance of the government taking measures to bring down the high cost of living that continues to our society. We spoke about the persons joining the government services and taking 3 months to get off the first pay, and nothing has changed about that. Are you telling me that that is the type of government you would want to support, where your children, your family, and as women, you're going through additional stress to stress the stretch the dollars, you can live comfortably. I think that's good enough for me to just a tip of the iceberg of my approaches and I would highlight to persons that we cannot afford to sit down and allow this PPC regime that is currently supposedly managing the affairs of our country for all Guyanese and not doing so, to take full control and total control of our community and our assets and resources.
Okay. One of my last questions in regards to young people and women. We have a professor in Uganda here. Every when he's talking about youth and women participation in politics, he's like, women are being participated and also young people are being participated rather than them participating. Save for hanging posters and dancing on your political rallies, are these women and young people participating by way of contesting and showing interest in taking on leadership in these forthcoming local council elections?
Yes, we have young people and women who are participating interested. Like I would say to persons, a lot of people didn't know I was in politics until I was elected to be a parliament. But I was in politics for the youth. There are many of our young people who are working behind the scene, our women who are working behind the scene, and of course there are those who work to the front. But they are doing what they have to do to make an impact, to make a difference where they can. It's important that we have women and young people involved in the political and all of that, because basically, if we are not involved with it all, a lot of things will be highlighted. A lot of things will not be noted because, it will be one side of the you're seeing what is happening. But a woman can speak to so many things that are happening, and our young people who are dealing with the changing times will be able to highlight and will be able to come up with strategies in how they can dealing with some of the challenges that they face in society today.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Now, mine is going to be a little bit different from the topic of the day, but I thought it would be important to also get some sort of input, your input about this issue. And I'm very glad Honorable Annette Ferguson is also watching. She's live, so I hope she also can provide some sort of insight about this particular issue. I wanted to get what is going on with your Guyana government contracts with the ExxonMobil and the exploration of oil and gas in Guyana. The contract seems to be exploiting Guyana's interest. It seems to be benefiting more the ExxonMobil and the CNOOC and all the others who are doing the exploration at the expense of the Guyanese as the owners of those resources. What is going on in this area?
Well, I wouldn't want to say much on this particular issue because I don't know all the fine-tuned details. So I'm going to speak to you from sitting on the outside of the regular Guyanese and see what's happening. What I see happening with the contracts and all that's happening with ExxonMobil and our people in Guyana is that 95 or 99% of Guyanese are not feeling, seeing, or touching any benefits from what's happening there. If we have an administration, if we have an administration, we'll only deal with what benefits them. And when I say them, their friends, their family, and their favorites. They're not interested in happening. And so when you visit community, persons will ask, people with the oil money, tell them only a few are drinking the oil. So that's why we're not feeling it. So we have to continue doing what we can and continue making our voices heard and let people understand that we're not enjoying wealth as we should, because you have an administration that is only bent on them being beneficiaries of whatever is taking place between ExxonMobil and all that is happening there.
Honorable, again, I'm going to ask about it. You had the World Bank give Guyana money, funds to make sure that you boost expertise, that the Ministry of Energy and Resources also has some sort of information and knowledge about this whole business, especially as far as the physical and legal and environmental situation is concerned. But apparently those issues stopped in 2021, and the project was supposed to go up to 2024. That has not happened. But now the other issue is, that is in the current government, but this contract was signed in 2016, 1 year after the government of President Granger. Sorry for mispronunciation. It was 1 year after he came into government, and they signed these contracts that were, more benefiting more the other side. What are you doing as the opposition, and especially as people who are in line, who are in the government that signed these contracts back in the day?
Well, you know that we have questions tabled, a number of questions tabled in the Parliament in relation to this matter. I know motions were brought, and guess what? They're all just there. Nothing is happening there. So it will take civil society. I can't recall is what the other co-host asked me earlier, so I'm going to try to make sure I coin my word right. It will take civil society to play their part in ensuring that we all are beneficiaries of the resources of our country.
Other people to make reviews about that. I saw in one of some articles, he was saying that he does not entertain outside reviews from people from outside. Now, there were some reports that were published by the Institute of Energy Economics and Financial Analysis, some international organization. Of course, in this whole matter, and they said they do not allow, they don't want external reviews of the oil deal. It is the way it is. And the Exxon also tries to, is sort of saying, they do not want the reviews of the deal. The contract was made the way it was. They do not want any changes. But it is exploiting Guyana as one. So I don't know, maybe you should think about it as the opposition and see how those people, Guyanese, can benefit from it.
Well, I can tell you that the opposition is working, doing what they have to do in relations to that. Like I would say to my fellow Guyanese, ExxonMobil is about business and profits. The government ought to be about the people and ensuring that the people benefit. And if you have a government that is thinking more of us as against people, we will continue to see and experience what we were experiencing.
I'll take you back to elections. My interest is it's too much into the forthcoming elections. Let us hope that you have done your best, and therefore we see your party, the coalition government, sweeping most of the local council positions. What are those key areas that you think the local council leaders will pay their attention?
Here's a question for me. You get it clearly.
Sorry?
I didn't get you clearly just now. You asked me what do I think?
That hoping that your party has swept all the offices of the local council positions. What is it that you would urge them to start with as a symbol that they are now active and they are literally different from the PPP government?
One of the first thing we must look is to get our people to understand the importance of social cohesion, respecting each other, working together for the development of all. Under the Granger-led administration, that was being pushed, and if you follow what's happening now, that is something that is swept what went under the carpet. It was one of the first ministry or unit were destroyed by the PPP when it came to government. Is the social cohesion unit that you had a part of the social ministry, because people need to understand that for us to grow, for us to strive together as a people and as a nation, we need each other. Each of us have our own skills, skill set, our own talents and everything that we bring to the table. And if we all can understand diversity and how it can work to our good, that's an excellent way to start to let people to understand the importance of us uniting and working together. Once you set that stage, whatever vision, whatever plans you have, and all of that, you're able to achieve more because you have the person's interests and the person's developmental skill set that will be a part of that process. And so we can be able to move and advance our country forward as we work together.
We are diving into the comments, and I'll ask my co-host to read some of the comments. If they have questions therein, you'll also definitely respond. Yes, Rogers?
Yeah, I'll begin with Guyana nowadays. I don't know if it is a person or it's a page or something.
There's a PPP
they
page.
Say, I don't know if a she or he says, understand the PPP government during the period of 1992 to 2015, Guyana only had one local government election. The APNU plus AFC was in office 2015 to 2020 and had two local government elections. Based on those facts, I think, which party maintained the rules of law or interested in local government elections, which give people in the community the power to develop their communities? I am confused.
That's on point. Right on point. Right on point.
And then Honorable Annette Ferguson, thank you so much for being here with us again. She says, good day, my people and comrade. And she also says, indeed, the PPPC government doesn't care. Tell me it as it is, my sister. I think it's tell it as it is. And then she also says, all the money going towards infrastructure, where they are stealing the monies. People are indeed suffering in oil-rich Ghana. Okay, this is, I think, about oil also.
Yeah.
And then Guyana nowadays says, we are not feeding the oil economy nowadays. Guyanese are not interested because we hear about the new oil blocks. Yeah, the new oil blocks I heard about, I think, is it Paraya, something, I think there was new extraction or something, some new space that is going to be exploited. And then Honorable Annette Ferguson also says our last sitting of the NA was on February 2nd, 2023. Geoffrey Iga says, blessings, comrades. I think most of these are really...
Maybe it is to ask Honorable how Guyanese, or rather would wish to feel, because it's one of the, the viewers here says they are not feeling the oil money. How else would you people want to feel that oil money?
How else you would want to?
Because one of your viewers says they don't feel the money. How else? I mean, should it be distributed to every home for you guys to feel the money? How would you want to feel the oil money?
I'm going to share what my constituents would say to me. Persons are getting meager income that you're not able to adequately for the families. That we're not seeing increases in more increases in salaries for our people. Why is it that we're not, all right, if you don't want to give the money, why is it that you're not having food baskets or bags at the end of the month where our pensioners can go to the post office, pick up the pension, and still carry home a bag with big food items? I mean, you got this oil money. Is it that we're not seeing things like that happening? Why is it that we're seeing such, we don't have areas where I can recall as a child under the LFS Burnham period, have gone to the port to get produce and food items at reduced costs, and you're able to adequately for your family. So if it is a problem that they don't want to give money, put the money directly in the hands of Guyanese? Why is it that we're not seeing systems in place where can actually benefit in a total way when it comes to that? Why is it we're seeing that they just have this, they when they're building homes for people who are in need, it is such a selective process, and they got people that need. Why is it that Guyanese have to go and pay for lands? Why is it that we cannot be allocated an area of land where people can go and build their homes, all of that? These are things that you think about. It is challenging to go to the bank and get a loan. I can't even get a loan. So I got problems getting a loan, much as the ordinary persons who have to live day by day and not being able to afford basic things, food, shelter for their families. So if you're talking about an oil-rich country, I'm quite sure if they should stop to look at other countries that are oil-rich and how the people are able to benefit. I am quite sure there are examples they can take from and introduce to the country where people can feel more comfortable instead of you have Guyanese suffering. Only the other day I met a young lady that's living in a house where she has no proper roof. She is she and her 6 children getting wet, and when the sun comes out, the sun drying them. That's how porous the roof is. And she's not far from Georgetown. So why is it that we're not seeing more being done? And you know why it is that way? If this government had respect for our local government organs, you would have seen more work being done, but they have no respect. When they go to share the grants, instead of going through the local authority areas, persons who are au fait with the area and the number of families, they go through their own supporters to walk around, share the money to who they feel should collect the money. And so these are some of the things that, Guyanese talk about. And of course, that's how we want to feel the money,
In our remaining 2 or so minutes, I want to ask you, if we were to apply 10 as our best marks for if it was a pass mark, in regards to the following, the preparedness of the opposition in line with the forthcoming elections, how many marks would you score? Or would you
10 being the highest? 10 being the highest?
That you have done your best as, the readiness, about the readiness. Yeah. How many marks would you give yourselves out of 10?
I would say about 7.
In regards to the participation of young people and women, how many would you give yourselves?
9.
Okay. In regards to your success, as in victory, how many do you give yourselves out of 10? And then, of course, to Rogers, we shall definitely leave here.
I would say 10 out of 10. Champions don't think about losing.
I saw some comment from...
yes, Honorable, you understood yourself. Or with us. Guyana nowadays says, no increased salary, no free education at University of Guyana, no better water system, no better electricity. We are not feeling the oil money. So I think for him, the way they feel the oil money is that
by paying salaries,
it has to reflect in the systems that water has to be improved. The water systems are better. That there is electricity, or at least it's free, or it's very affordable, or there are free education in universities, whatever that is. Probably that is how the oil money reflects. But I want you to make your conclusions. You can say your closing remarks. And of course, invite the Guyanese to be able to participate in this election because it is the foundation. The communities benefit mostly from the local government before the central government comes in. So you can make your call and make your concluding remarks.
Thank you so much. I want to thank you for having me yet again on your program. It was a privilege to share with you. To my fellow Guyanese, I say to you, local government is your business. It's about your community. Have an interest and get involved because it's very, very serious. If you don't get involved, this PPPC administration to take on of your communities, they will do as they please. And so get involved, be alert, and get out and vote. Thank you.
Okay, from Uganda, East Africa, it's coming to 8 p.m. and we understand in Guyana it should be 1 p.m. or thereabout. We should wish you a wonderful day, and to all our viewers across the globe, keep it alternative Digitalk. And of course, Roger, if you have anything conclusive to the viewers.
I don't have much. It's just to appreciate you guys for being with us, of course. Thank you for keeping the time, for coming all the way for the whole hour, for being with us. So that goes for our Ugandan people. I want to wish you a very good night, and those in the Caribbean and that area, a good afternoon and, later. And some others, good morning in places where it is morning. We will see you next Wednesday.